Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to My Biggest World. I'm Alex, and today I am here to talk about the LGBTQ plus books on my TBR. Now, this is not an extensive list because there are many more, I'm almost positive, but I have a pretty good list. I don't fully know if all of these books have like the representation in them, but I do know that the authors are either fall on the LGBTQ plus spectrum or they tend to write queer characters. So, but I'll do that as much as I can. I might be wrong about some of the representation considering I have not read any of these books, but I will do my absolute best. So here we go. So the first book that I have on here is The Falling in Love Montage by Sierra Smith. All I know is that this is like about a couple, or I know it's a female romance. I don't know too much else, but the cover is stunning, and I feel like it has to do with like rom-coms. So that's really exciting. And then I have Stay Gold by Toby McSmith, which I believe has trans main characters, and I want to believe it's like a retelling of The Outsiders, considering Stay Gold is like a line. But I don't know anything else. I don't really know anything about these books, but yeah. And then I have Birthday by Meredith Russo, which also has trans main characters. I believe this book is about two different characters who, at least one of them is trans, and they like it's throughout their lives, and I guess on each of their birthdays, like they come together, they're like family friends or something like that. I'm not really sure, but I've heard really good things about this book. And then I have Summer of Salt by Katrina Leno. This is YA, and I believe it has an FF romance as well as not magical realism, but like, you know, a little bit of a fantasy element or a magic element in the story. Again, don't know too much of this, but I know it takes place on an island with this girl who is supposed to have magical abilities, but they're not appearing yet. So I know it has something to do with that. And then Meet Cute Club by Jack Carbon. This has an male romance. And I believe it has to do with book club. Two guys that are in book club. One of them maybe works in a bookstore, I think. I've heard a lot of great things, especially from Mina Reads. I really recommend her channel. She reads a lot of great romance, whether it be queer or just authors of color, which is where I've gotten a lot of recommendations from. And then Something to Talk About by Meryl Wilsner is an FF romance. I haven't heard many people talk about this, but I do believe Mina Reads also talked about this. Again, don't know what it's about, but it's a pretty cover. And then I have Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur, which I believe is also an FF romance, and I just heard somebody talk about it a few days ago, and I don't remember what it was about, which sucks. But I've heard really great things about it, so yeah. The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper is also, I didn't say, Written in the Stars is an FF romance from what I know. Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper is a male romance, and I don't know too much about this one either, but I know one of my friends, my book Twitter friends, really enjoyed this book and totally recommended it. I think it's kind of like in the same vein of not Sean David Hutchinson. Is it him? It's kind of in the same vein, I feel like, as We Are the Ants, but maybe not as dark. But I think it might have some magical elements. It might not. Maybe I'm making that up. Who knows? Just Friends by Holly McCulloch, I think is how you say that, which is an FF romance. Again, don't know too much about this, but I do know it is a YA. My guess it's a contemporary romance, and it's two characters that are just friends falling in love is my bet. And then one of the most exciting ones, and one that I'm going to get to like this month if it kills me, is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, which features an FF romance. And I did hear somebody talk about it recently, and apparently there's also a trans main character, and also a lot of other representation. Like I believe there's a Latina main character, you know, stuff like that. I don't fully know the representation since I have not read it, But basically, it's about this girl named August who is 23, just moved to New York City, and she believes, and she's trying to see if she can be proved, if there's proof that magical cinematic love stories exist. But then she meets this girl on the train named Jane, who is actually stuck in a time loop from the 1970s. And so the story is of that. She sees her on the subway, and August has to help Jane with getting her back to her time period. So I'm very excited to read this. I've heard amazing things. It's supposed to be very good. And then hopefully I'll get to this soon. I've been meaning to get to this for a while. But Kate in Waiting by Becky Albertalli. This, I believe, I don't think the main character is queer. I don't know. I do know that I believe there is a gay supporting character, like the main character's best friend. But I'm still really excited to get to it. If you don't know, Becky Albertalli is bisexual. She recently came out after a lot of harassment by her writing queer characters into her books and being perceived as straight. But she is bisexual, so I want to put that out there. Not that I think that authors should have to come out to make their writing valuable, because obviously Simon Verses helped a lot of people before they even knew that she was bisexual. And then The Witch King by H.E. Edgemon. I don't know if I said that right, but I'm also hoping to get to that this month. It just recently came out, like June 1st. And I believe this has just a trans main character. I don't know if there's any other representation, considering that I haven't read it. But I know it's fantasy, and I believe it's a duology, maybe. But I'm really excited to get to it, and I've heard wonderful things about it. And then we have The Ghost We Keep by Mason Deaver. I am not sure of the rep in this book, but the author does identify as non-binary. If you don't know who Mason Deaver is, they wrote I Wish You All the Best, which is about a non-binary character coming out as non-binary. So, like I said, I don't know what the representation is in The Ghost We Keep. I don't even think the book is out yet. But once I know, I will obviously share that, probably in one of my wrap-ups. But I do know the author is non-binary, and I'm very excited to read more of what they wrote. And then we have Rise to the Sun by Leah Johnson. This is a book that I'm hoping to get to in July. Fingers crossed. I have a lot of books I want to read and very little time, but it's fun. It's fine. And I believe this has an FF romance, just based on the fact that she is the author of You Should See Me in a Crown, which also has an FF romance in it. And I believe, just based on the cover, that it's an FF romance. I know it takes place at a music festival. That's about it. I didn't really plan on knowing too much about this book, not for any reason other than, I really liked her writing style, so even though it's going to be a little bit darker than You Should See Me in a Crown, I still very much want to read it. And then the last book that I have on here is This Poison Heart by Kaylin Barron. I am not sure of the rep in this book, but I believe Kaylin Barron is queer. She wrote Cinderella is Dead, which featured an FF romance. It came out last year. And This Poison Heart is different. I know it has to do with, like, powers that relate to plants. And I believe it's a duology. The second book obviously coming out sometime next year. But yeah, I'm not sure what the rep in this. If I had to guess, it would probably be FF, but I don't know that for sure, so I don't want to speak on it until I read it. That's another book that I'm hoping to get to next month. So yeah, that's it for the most recent books that I'm excited about that are on my TBR that happen to feature LGBTQ plus characters. Obviously, there are so many more books that I want to read that have LGBTQ plus characters. There were a few that I was going to put on here, but either, like, they don't come out for a while, or, like, I'm not, like, so excited to read them that I, like, have them on my TBR. So, like, for instance, I'm really excited to read Ophelia After All by by Raquel Marie, I can't talk, but Blonde with a Book, Rocky. And so that doesn't come out until February of 2022, but I'm still so excited to read it. But that's it for this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Follow my social media down below. You guys should comment, any FF romances that you guys are excited about. I don't know, FF. LGBTQ plus stories, not just romances, that you guys are excited to read. And I will see you guys next time. Goodbye!